Welcome to Escape to the Country. Now, where do you think we've come to find a pretty backdrop such as this? Well, here's the clue. During the Middle Ages, this lovely little village was once a bustling seaside port, but today the coast is nowhere to be seen. So, what happened to the port, and where did the sea go? Well, join me in just a moment, and I'll tell you. Today's house search is all about making an impression.
It seems like one place that straight away as you walk down the drive, you go, I want to explore.
But will curiosity catch our couple the house of their dreams?
It's breathtaking.
Breathtaking, that's a phrase I like.
Well, today we are in Norfolk, North Norfolk to be precise, and this is the village of Cley next the sea. And despite its name, it's now a mile inland from the North Norfolk coast, just over there. But in the Middle Ages, believe it or not, this was once one of the most prosperous ports in England. But in the 17th century, an attempt at land reclamation had the adverse effect of silting up the river, and the port simply disappeared. And these days, the silt marshes that surround it have become an important nature reserve, just one of the many highlights that pepper the Norfolk coastline. Norfolk occupies the northern part of East Anglia, sharing land borders with 3 counties and a coastline with the Wash and the North Sea. Those looking to live here will find many of the great and good have gone before them. Horton Hall was built in the 1720s for Britain's first Prime Minister, Sir Robert Walpole. It's a fine example of Palladian architecture. The nation's most well-known admiral, Horatio Nelson, was born in the tiny Norfolk village of Burnham Thorpe. Nelson's father was rector here, and in 1890 the Admiralty donated wood from HMS Victory, Nelson's ship at the Battle of Trafalgar, to be used as part of the All Saints' Church restoration. In the Middle Ages, Norfolk's flat and fertile terrain made the county the most intensively farmed and densely populated region in England. Woodlands were cleared, and as timber supplies ran low, peat was turned to as an alternative source of fuel. Over 125 miles of navigable broads and rivers were created by the peat digging, which provided essential channels for communication and commerce throughout the 16th century. It wasn't long before tourists headed for the tranquil waterways, and with the coming of the railways in the 19th century, the influx of holidaymakers grew in earnest. Boat hire companies began offering visitors trips afloat, and along the coast, resorts such as Cromer flourished. So whether you love naval history, following in the footsteps of Victorian seasiders, or just messing about in boats, Norfolk is a great county to head for. Well, for a county that doesn't have any motorways running through it, Norfolk has long prided itself on being a remote and peaceful place, pretty much as you can see. And despite the recent widening of the A11 making the whole region much more accessible, property shopping here is still relatively inexpensive. To give you a clearer idea of what I'm talking about, currently the average price of a detached property here is £277,000. That's £33,000 below the national average. So for today's buyers wanting to move to the country, it's a great place to start, because not only have they got some fabulous landscape to explore, they're also blessed with some stunning coastline. Today's buyers are Alan and Paula from Mill Hill, London, who met online through a shared love of dogs.
Al actually had a picture of his dog on his profile, and I quite warmed to his dog first, then Al, and that was 5 years ago. We currently have 2 German Shepherds, Bear and Brax. One's 6, one's 2.5. Bear's come together nicely now, all the hard work has paid off. Brax, on the other hand, is just chaos. In fact, that's what we should have called him.
And that's not the only chaos that's come into their lives. Alan recently suffered a workplace injury to his hamstring in his job as a police officer.
Well, my injury was sustained at work through running on a fitness test, and the fact that it's become such a devastating injury has turned everything upside down. The injury's actually been quite life-changing. It's restricted a lot of my ability to work as a police officer.
And as a result, Alan is taking early retirement at the age of 48 on medical grounds. With Paula able to relocate her work as a private ambulance driver, the couple see it as a chance to find a new rural setting and move out of the London home that Alan has had for the last 23 years.
We've chosen to go to Norfolk because of this fantastic countryside. It's great for the dogs. There's a pub around the corner in most places, which we don't have, believe it or not, here.
The beaches are fantastic, the walking's amazing. I just don't think you can get better than that.
These keen volunteers also see the move as an opportunity to engage more with their new local community.
We've both worked for the local ambulance service on a voluntary basis as first responders, which is something we really want to get back into in Norfolk.
I've always enjoyed volunteering. The community, certainly in rural Norfolk, is driven by people being decent human beings. So therefore you've got people who are Coast Guards, community responders, or even people who just knock on doors to make sure their neighbours are okay.
Time is of the essence when it comes to finding the right house. With marriage planned for later in the year, the couple want to be in their new home before the wedding.
It would be great to find a house before we get married so that once we are married we can move in rather than all the upheaval afterwards.
We're going to have a new house. We are going to be Mr. and Mrs. We will have somewhere that we can spend time together, and being retired, it means that we've got a whole lot more time together.
Paula and Alan want to concentrate on the area near the North Norfolk coast, centred on Fakenham. But before we start looking at houses, I'm meeting up with them in the county to hear more about their hopes for the move.
Well, guys, welcome to Norfolk. And you've picked a beautiful week of weather to come and find your new country home. Now, it was a love of dogs that brought you both together, wasn't it?
It was.
That is a passion that I also share, and they are an important part of the family, and it's clear that, you know, we need to accommodate them fully.
Absolutely. I mean, somewhere to run at home. We're looking for somewhere to take them out to the beach within reasonable distance. But, yeah, I mean, they're a massive part of well, they are our family.
Now, location, what would be a kind of viable proximity to the coast?
Ideally for me, no more than sort of 30 minutes from the coast.
So give us an idea of the spec of this particular new home.
Well, that would be me.
Go on then.
I think the main thing for me is some land, sort of up to an acre for the dogs.
Yep.
So they've got the space. You don't have to necessarily go out 2 or 3 times a day walking them. Definitely a large kitchen diner. We both like to cook. I think one thing that we either definitely need or the potential to build is like a man cave with storage, so...
Oh, and listen, you've got the opportunity now to go for space, which of course is what you don't have in your current property. And what about bedrooms? How many of those do you think you need?
We're going anything from 3 bedrooms upwards, so we're looking at a couple of extra bedrooms just to accommodate the not extended family, immediate family, when they come with mum for me, and your daughter's in Kent.
In Kent, so... I think an annex would be an absolute bonus for us. You know, it's not essential, but would be a real nice added bonus for them to be able to come up and stay and have their own space as well as spending time with us.
So, it's a big move, but how much are you going to spend on this new endeavour?
I think it's going to be a top whack of 600,000.
So that's all rather exciting.
Very.
I'm going to drag you around Norfolk now and find you a home for the future. Shall we
Lovely.
go?
Fantastic,
Come on in.
thank you.
With a budget of up to £600,000, Paula and Alan are looking for a property with up to an acre of dog-friendly land located no more than 30 minutes from the coast. They'd like a large kitchen diner and at least 3 bedrooms, ideally with guest accommodation in an annex. Plus, they're keen to have an option of some self-contained space for Alan. We've got 3 very different propositions for them, all with their wish list in mind, and at each I'll be getting them to guess the price before I reveal it. Our final tour will be our mystery house, which could just be a 21st century solution to an age-old problem. We're kicking off in the outskirts of Fulsham. Now a large village with stores, a pub and an active community, the village sign is a reminder of less fortunate times. In 1770, a gunpowder store ignited, starting a fire which devastated most of the village, leaving only the church tower standing. This can still be seen across the surrounding countryside, and just under a mile away, we find our first house amongst a collection of former farm buildings.
Now, there are 5 here in total, but the one I want you to think about is that one. So the key thing, I suppose, really to unpack is how do you feel about having some near neighbours,
I think I have to see inside to be convinced, because it's obviously is quite close-knit to everybody.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
What does Al think?
Proof of the pudding. Let's see.
I think this is a sumptuous feast. It's certainly very different from where you are at the moment. Come and have a look.
Okay.
Thought to date from the late 19th century, the barn was originally used as a cattle shed. It was converted into a holiday home in the 1980s, but has been fully renovated and extended in the last 12 months. Laid out over one floor, we're starting our tour in the entrance hall.
There. What do we notice first of all then, Paula?
Space in the garden.
Yes, you can see a glimpse of what's going on
Yeah.
through there. Rather cleverly, they've created this sort of link, this kind of atrium,
Yeah.
with these fabulous reclaimed scaffold boards as flooring.
Yeah, it's nice and rustic.
Get more excited by the second.
Wait till you see what's through here. Come and look at this. There you go.
Oh, wow, it's nice and open plan.
But it's got this lovely, intimate feeling, but nonetheless, lots of
But
space.
you've still got that barn feeling, haven't you?
Yeah.
No, very nice.
At the moment, they've got their dining table in here, but there obviously is your sort of kitchen, living room to go with
Yeah.
it.
I think it works well.
There's enough room for two of us. Me doing the donkey work and Paula cooking. That's the rule.
But I'm also thinking about, you two with two great big German shepherds. I mean, this is such a practical arrangement with the floor.
Fantastic flooring for the dogs, yeah.
But it also has the addition of this new extension.
You could even sort of make this your living space and keep that more as a kitchen diner.
Yeah, a nice sort of family room.
Yeah.
Because you've got, obviously, access out there through, a number of double doors in this property, out to the garden. It's got 4 bedrooms in total. 3 of them are the other side of that entrance atrium. The other one is through that door there, with downstairs loo, etc. So we're thinking it's not quite an annex.
But it's split from the rest of the... Yeah, fantastic.
There's plenty of space for Paula's daughter and Alan's mum to visit, with 2 further guest rooms off the entrance hall. One with a skylight window and another with windows out to the garden, and both served by a family shower room. Bedroom number 4 is the master with ensuite facilities, as well as a walk-in wardrobe currently used as a home office. So, all in all, the interior here adds up to an excellent option.
This, you walk straight into it and it's breathtaking.
Breathtaking. That's a phrase I like. But I'm thinking that really the next thing we need to tackle is the outside
Outdoors.
space, because let's be honest, that is what this move is all about.
Yeah.
Should we go outside?
Definitely.
Right.
Well, it doesn't get much better than breathtaking. And outside in the half-acre rear plot, there's bags of room for 2 energetic German shepherds to explore to their heart's content, as well as something that might put a smile on Alan's face, a slab foundation with power and water.
It did have a much bigger log cabin on it. So I'm thinking that the man cave
yeah.
could be bespoke, Al.
More than excited, I see the potential there.
But in terms of space for the dogs,
Oh, plenty.
want to see the rest of it?
Definitely, yeah, let's go.
This large and level lawn is both private and spacious, with wonderful far-reaching views across the Norfolk countryside.
It's a nice size, and it's nice that it's not just a paddock, so it sort of makes it more of a garden as well, rather than just a flat paddock.
The potential of this one, in terms of satisfying the lifestyle that you have described to me, is there. Question is it the right price? 600 grand you've got. Make me an offer for property number 1.
I'm going to go for 525.
525, yeah? Al?
I'll probably go a little bit lower and say 515.
Well, here's the thing. You're spot on.
Oh, look at that. Wow. I like the house, I like the land. The house itself is really nice, very nicely done and laid out.
Go and have a look at those bedrooms, and I will find you a little bit later on.
Lovely, thank you.
Off you go.
OK.
£75,000 under budget, this 19th century barn conversion offers single-storey living with an open-plan kitchen and reception area at its heart. There are 4 bedrooms, including an ensuite, whilst outside there is half an acre of land overlooking open countryside.
Oh, well, visitors, isn't it?
Yeah, this is
I can
nice.
see straight away.
Yeah, you could use it as an annex, couldn't you? Because it's got its own sort of an exit.
Yeah. It's almost like a TARDIS, isn't it? There's so much in here for what deceptively seems a small space. It's almost annexed, but without being annexed. When I walked through the door, the thing which struck me amazingly was light. It's bright, it's airy, it's just homely. First initial impression, I like it.
Really nice rustic floor that runs right the way through, which is ideal for the dogs. And then we go through to the back garden, which is absolutely perfect. And there's some variety in it. You've got some hedging, you've got some shrubs, and you've got some trees.
I think the best thing for me, I've got somewhere down the garden where there's no limit to your dreams. Build what you want to build and put a smile on your face.
Well, I think we've all recognised the potential of this one, but there are plenty more properties to tempt you with.
Okay.
Ready for lunch?
Absolutely.
Come on.
The county of Norfolk, with its distinctive coastal and inland habitats, has long been a focus for nature conservation. In 1926, it was the first county to have a dedicated wildlife trust. And the RSPCA, more usually associated with helping and protecting domestic animals, has opted to open one of only 4 wildlife centres in the UK in East Winch. Since animal lovers Paula and Alan want to contribute to their community after their move by volunteering, we've sent them to meet Centre Manager Alison Charles to get some background and lend a hand with her latest admissions.
So, can you tell us a bit about the sort of history of the place?
We started in 1992 and it's a purpose-built hospital for all sorts of wildlife. So we have seals, swans, ducks, geese, everything, all orphaned, injured. But we've got lots of orphan birds in and I'm hoping you're going to help me feed them. So would you like to come and have a look?
Oh, that'd be fantastic, yes please.
80% of cases at the centre are birds, brought in by the public for a variety of reasons, from habitat loss due to felled trees to cat attacks. Many of these sick and injured charges need regular hand feeding, up to every 20 minutes, with a preparation originally designed for rearing parrots.
So it's really important that you take it slowly and try not to get it on their feathers because it gets caked on their feathers and then we have to pick it off at a later date.
Okay.
It's absolutely caked in it.
I'm going to have to wipe that off before it gets hard.
Well, perhaps Alan will have more joy giving the insect feeders their daily mealworms.
There you go, Buster.
With hundreds of birds to clean, feed and administer medication to, there's always plenty to be done.
Do you have lots of volunteers helping out?
Yeah, we have some volunteers, but just not enough volunteers, as you imagine. It would be lovely to have lots of volunteers, but we haven't. Speaking of which, come and give us a hand and we'll go and release some ducks.
Yeah, that's it.
Fantastic,
Come on,
yeah, thank you.
There are currently 250 ducks at the centre, some of which are now ready to be released back into the wild. This will be done in small batches in a variety of locations. But before taking today's chosen group to their new, natural home, they're checked for healthy flight feathers, a good weight, and overall fitness and mobility.
Yeah. So you see there, she's got all her feathers.
Oh, yeah, and inside.
So she can go.
The boxed ducks are now ready to be taken to the release location.
I know it's good to release them, but do you get sad when you
not
don't
at
get
all.
attached to any of them?
No. The good times are releasing them, and it's just brilliant because you know that they came in as tiny little ducks. So, I mean, it's quite amazing.
This will be the ducks' first venture into the wild as independent adults, so it's important the site has a good natural supply of food, as well as shelter from predators.
The next release we'll do somewhere else, and we just keep them moving them round and round Norfolk. Point it in that direction of the river, open up the box, and then hopefully it'll take that nice little route down.
Okay,
Hopefully.
let's go.
Fingers crossed this is home sweet home for these rescued ducks, but it's time to turn our attention to finding the perfect location for Paula and Alan's country escape. We're taking our search to the coast at Cromer. In the Victorian era, the coming of the railways made this town a fashionable seaside resort, with a string of hotels and a magnificent pier springing up. Miles of esplanade are a great place to enjoy a coastal constitutional, whilst the maze of lanes behind the beach are a shopper's delight. Amidst the souvenirs and boutiques is the county's tallest church, St Peter and St Paul, with a tower reaching 160 feet. And just a mile and a half inland, mindful of Paula's wish for a house set in its own private plot, is the property we've come to see.
In trying to learn the lessons of our first property, as you can see, it is surrounded by a bit more land. The whole thing is very dog-proof. And we've got you this late 1920s villa. It does need a bit of TLC.
That's where we put our marker on it. A chance to personalise it, I think.
You could certainly personalise it. What I like about it from your point of view, it's got a bit more space out here. We're just going to have to be a bit more creative with it. We know what you like stylistically now, which is good. Certainly on paper, it fulfils all the criteria.
It's not something that I would have automatically looked at.
Come on.
Built in 1929, this detached brick house has been recently rendered and extended to the side. An elegant entrance hall leads through to the rear of the home, where we find the kitchen breakfast room.
But a much more modern feel to the current kitchen.
Yeah. It's not really what I would go for. Don't mind modern, but a cottagey feel, and I just feel this is a bit white and square.
The thought would be to do something that would extend the property that way. You've also got a utility room around the corner here. But this is one that is going to require a bit of imagination, and I think it's quite an exciting opportunity.
I think it's just being able to see past what's necessarily here and what you can focus on and what you can do.
Yeah.
Both physically and financially.
Yeah.
Think of it as fantasy renovation. What would we do?
Yeah. OK.
Come and have a look through here.
Well, it remains to be seen whether the undeniable benefits of location and land will be enough to tempt Paula and Alan to take on some work here. Leading off the kitchen is the largest room on this floor, a reception running the length of the property.
I think the size of the room's great. I don't think I'd necessarily have it as a lounge diner. If you had this as one living area, it's certainly a really good size. I think it's got potential. I'm just not sure if it's too much of a big project to what I would want to do with what I've seen so far.
Once we see the whole potential project, I think you can put perspective on it then.
Is it going to grow on you?
Potentially.
Well, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with what you get upstairs. Come and have a look.
Well, potential really is the watchword here. And completing the ground floor is a further good-sized reception room located to the other side of the entrance hall with access to the garden. This floor also offers the first of 4 bedrooms and, with access to its own shower room, could provide a guest annex. The remaining 3 bedrooms are found upstairs. There's a good-sized guest double to the rear, which comes with dual-aspect windows, with a slightly smaller double to the front. These are served by a family bathroom, which leaves bedroom number 4, a very spacious master ensuite.
This is a lovely size.
But it also has the benefit of a shower ensuite.
Nice room. It's really, really nice size. It flows better upstairs than it does downstairs.
Overall, as a 4-bedroom package, I think it gives you lots of options.
Big, roomy, ensuite.
This must be bigger than what you've got at the moment.
Yes.
Yes.
And one other thing that is definitely bigger than what you've got at the moment is what's going on out there.
Yes.
You can't wait. You're itching, aren't you? Let's not forget the dogs. Come on, let's go outside.
So, a positive finish to the accommodation on offer in this detached 1920s home. And outside, the fully enclosed plot backs onto open countryside and includes areas of woodland, a gated driveway and a selection of sheds. The paved patio provides the perfect spot for a barbecue, and coming in at over an acre, there's plenty to please these ardent dog lovers.
Garden-wise, we've doubled the size of what was on offer at property number 1. A whole acre. Do you think your boys would be satisfied with all of this to run around it?
I think they would be, yep.
Yeah?
Try and get them in.
So let's have a play around with the price on this one.
I will go for 515 again.
I think it's a lot more than that. I think it's going to be about 585.
Ooh. Well, let me see. It begins with a 5. And it ends with 0.
Ooh.
$500,000 on the nose, £500,000. Well, it's certainly affordable, and it gives you lots of scope to really make this one your own. Have a wander around the grounds, have a wander around the house, and I will come and find you a little bit later on and see what you're thinking.
OK.
Go on then, off you go. Enjoy.
With £100,000 left in the pot, Alan and Paula could really make this 1920s villa their own. With a kitchen diner and 2 additional reception rooms, the property offers 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. Set in its own plot of just over an acre, there's countryside on the doorstep, as well as proximity to both town and coast.
So I guess this is more like a shed than a man cave, isn't it, really?
Yeah. It's good for starters.
I think the good thing about this property is it does have quite large rooms, which are good for the dogs. You know, you're not all sort of falling over each other. Obviously, we wanted a bigger kitchen, and I think I've quickly realised in here you'd have to do a lot of knocking the walls out, which scares me a little bit.
The potential I can see is maybe extending the kitchen to accommodate our needs. The world's your oyster as long as it's within reach and it's reasonable.
Right, well, that's it. We've got to go. It is time now to sample a pint of the local. Look at your face. Can't wait. Come on.
We're in North Norfolk, helping soon-to-retire police officer Alan and ambulance driver Paula find a new home for their budget of £600,000. They've already seen 2 excellent options, but there's still our mystery house to come, which could be the answer to their designs on living near the sea.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah?
It's nice.
Straight away, big grin.
Plus, I take a big historic journey on the world's smallest public railway.
I love it. The sights and sounds and smells and history of yesteryear.
Well, when it comes to our properties, this week is all about the best of 3 as we try and find Al and Paula the first home that they are going to buy together. Now, one thing has become abundantly clear. Paula, at least, is not interested in any sort of project. Although, to be fair to Al, he's more than excited about the prospect of creating his own man cave. And let's not forget, this isn't somewhere for DIY or a bit of tinkering. This is somewhere to relax and watch the footy. So what can we possibly come up with for our final offering, our mystery house? Well, needless to say, this one isn't a project, not even as far as Al is concerned. What it lacks in size, it more than makes up for in its close proximity to Norfolk's glorious coast. And at the end of the day, the seaside is what this search is all about. One more to come.
Final one?
Yes. What do you think our mystery house might offer you?
I'm hoping it's going to be something that really tugs on our heartstrings. Something that would just go, ooh.
It's definitely going to make you think. Its location might be the thing that comes to the surface.
Oh.
Our mystery offering is in Overstrand. This coastal village is 2 miles east of Cromer and saw regular visits from Sir Winston Churchill, who was staying at the Sea Marsh Hotel in 1939 when a phone call prompted him to return to London. A few days later, war with Germany was declared. Today, the village enjoys good facilities, including a post office and stores, a pub and a cafe with sea views.
Have you ever explored this bit of the coast before?
I haven't. We haven't actually been this far up, so no, it's all new.
The English coastal path runs right along here, and there's a myriad of other footpaths and circular walks that lead off of Overstrand. So you wanted coast, mate. How about this?
Aye, Captain.
Our mystery property is literally 2 minutes walk away. It's about 100 yards up the hill. Happy?
Very.
Come on, let's go and see it.
With Paula making it clear she's not up for a project, our mystery offering is a 21st century design nestled in its own plot, surrounded by mature trees.
So this is no project, only 10 years old, so it's all brand new. And it sits in, it's about 1/4 of an acre, this one.
It seems like one place that straight away as you walk down the drive, you go, I want to explore, and there's something else lurking that wants to put a smile on my face.
Oh, interesting. So you're optimistic? Should we have a look?
Yeah.
Definitely, yes, please.
Built in 2006 to the current owner's specifications, the house is laid out over 2 single-storey wings, fanning out from a double-storey centre. The wing to our left has the front door, which leads straight into an open-plan living space.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah?
It's nice.
Look at the smile on Al's face. This is all good. Very open plan, but still offering you nice sort of compartments Obviously, main living room itself in here, and then through those double doors, sort of garden room. The wood burner is a really nice addition, actually.
That is nice.
This is just straight away big grin.
It's a nice room, but if it's the only downstairs reception room, it's just a bit enclosing.
Interesting. Come and have a look at the kitchen area. I mean, it's beautifully illuminated. It certainly
a lot of
works.
light in.
It really does. I mean, you can see this little landing area here, which gets you up to the master bedroom, which we'll explore in just a moment. Yeah. The kitchen, I think, is lovely. It is effectively a kind of kitchen diner.
I'm not convinced on the size. I think I have in my mind a nice open-plan kitchen diner.
That is the kitchen. This can go down into that other reception area down the other end.
Into the dining room.
And you have a dining room away from it, so this becomes the breakfast bar.
Yeah. See, he's working it.
He's working it.
Which is great. I'm delighted. Yeah. I thought you would lap this up, but actually I'm wrong, aren't I? You're leading the charge on this one.
There's obviously got to be a bit of horse trading. Do we have land or do we have location? Because if you have both, your budget's just gone.
That is the classic conundrum. Come and have a look upstairs.
Okay.
There's plenty that should please in this ready-to-move-into home. With a utility and WC to one side of the kitchen, the other side leads through into a wing of guest accommodation. Here, a double at the far end has built-in wardrobes, whilst a smaller guest room is currently used as a single. These are both served by a wet room. That leaves bedroom number 3, the master ensuite, located in a mezzanine story above the kitchen.
So this really is something of a sort of an eyrie. There's your landing. They've got a little desk. And then this is your own master suite, really. Ensuite in there.
It's not a bad size room. I think the whole place feels a bit small. Unless one of you's outside and one of you's inside, you can't really get away from each other if you're going to be kind of living on top of each other.
But you are getting married.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that really, for the two of you, it would work. I genuinely think this would be big enough.
Yeah. I think we need to look at the whole property first before I can rule in or out.
Final judgment is reserved until they've seen everything on offer here, which outside includes a sweeping shingled drive leading to a very secluded quarter-acre plot of well-established gardens surrounding the house. Plus, there's a double garage, greenhouse and a large timber shed.
I appreciate it's not as big as the man cave that we have discussed if you were going to build something bespoke, but this one is ready to go in the sense that it's lined, it's carpeted, it's powered.
Just needs disco lights.
I think there's plenty of room here. And then, of course, you've got the beaches and walks around here.
It looks nice and safe, which for me is quite a biggie. You know, fantastic. There's no maintenance that you need to do.
I'm satisfied that Al thinks that coming here was a good idea. I'm a bit more concerned about you, though. Let's talk about the price and see if that has an influence.
I'm going to go for 565.
565, Al?
I'm going to go 585.
It's on the market for 555.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
At last, a wow in the Mystery House from Paula.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more than pleasantly surprised.
Go and explore it without us and see what space you have got.
OK.
Go on then. Off
Lovely,
you go.
thank you.
Brilliant. Whew, sometimes it is a hard sell, but I am convinced this property in this location could really work for them. I think Al knows that. He's just got to persuade Paula.
Below budget at £555,000, this modern architect-designed house has open-plan living, a garden room and 3 bedrooms, including a guest wing and master ensuite. It's in a secluded location, close to village amenities and just minutes from the beach.
First impressions of this property was, wow, it's brand new. Something to walk into and live.
I think it's a lovely house. It's a lovely layout, but for me, it's just a bit too small. Although this house is fantastic, it's a really nice house and it is close to the coast. I think I'm more leaning towards going further inland and being able to get that bit more land around the house.
Right, guys, that's it, I'm afraid. We've given you some really interesting options, but you've got to make some sort of a decision. There's a lot riding on the next few months, isn't there?
There is.
New home, new marriage. Who's for a new ice cream?
Oh, go on.
Come on in.
The coming of the railways in the mid-19th century changed the county of Norfolk. Shorter journey times and cheap excursions gave the working class affordable holidays for the first time, and new coastal resorts sprung up. Then, in the 20th century, the era of motorised cars and buses meant railways were seen as costly and unnecessary, heralding the closure of many under Dr. Richard Beeching, an engineer and chairman of British Rail. But some communities and individuals fought back. The Wells and Walsingham Light Railway was born out of the passion of one Norfolk local. Royal Navy Lieutenant Commander Roy Francis set about reinstating a service on 4 miles of closed Great Eastern Line. Using reclaimed track, he created what is now the longest narrow-gauge public railway in the world. Over 3 decades since the line took its first passengers, it's still a family business. I've come to meet Managing Director Nick Champion, who's going to help me indulge my passion for steam. Hello, Nick.
Hi, Jules. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. This all looks rather industrious this morning.
Well, thank you, and welcome to the Wells Walsingham Light Railway.
Well, come on, show me around.
Yeah.
Oh, this is lovely. What's the distinction between a narrow gauge and an all railway?
Well, it's the size, really. This is a diminutive railway, as they say. It's the space between each wheel, I suppose. This is 10¼ inches, which is usually seen in gardens, so we are quite rare. But my wife's grandfather, who founded us in 1982, decided it was the largest gauge possible, man-portable, meaning they didn't need any machines, which they didn't have, to lay it. So he and 4 or 5 others laid 7,000 sleepers and all this rail for 4½ miles.
It was an extraordinary feat, but the tracks themselves hold an even more astounding story.
We were really lucky with the rail in 1982 because as the Channel Tunnel was being ready for opening, they used a light railway to take away all the spoil. And that rail originally came from America in 1915 and was built for the Somme Offensive of 1916. So it's just celebrated its 100th birthday.
So your 4 miles of track once ran through the Somme?
It certainly did, and it was built exactly for the offensive so that it would take the munitions up and troops up and the wounded back. Every time I sit on these rails, I think about some of the people that travelled on the rail. It was those rails that carried people to war. I find that really moving.
It's rather sobering to think of the story of the rails here in sleepy, peaceful North Norfolk. Alan Brown, a member of the Permanent Way Gang performing daily maintenance, is tightening the fish plates that join the tracks together, just as they would have done in France in the First World War.
Do you often reflect on the men that would have originally laid this across northern France 100 years ago?
Yes, definitely. You definitely do, because you just think of how they did it. And well, we know it's a struggle ourselves to think how they actually did it. It's just incredible.
The guys are out there under shell fire, laying it on mud, laying it through unmentionable things.
The purpose of this line today couldn't be further away from the grim job of taking troops and munitions to and from the Somme. And I must say, I feel very fortunate to be enjoying the benefits of narrow-gauge steam in more peaceful times.
Well, Nick, it's lovely to see that steam pour out the front of the locomotive up there.
Yeah.
So how fast are we going to go?
We're going to go 300 miles an hour. No, 9 miles an hour. If you go faster, you don't get to see as much.
Yeah.
We've got fantastic wildlife down the line. 2 buzzards, barn owls, you know, brown hares, red kites. You know, I want people to see that. It's magical, it really is.
It sort of almost teeters on these tiny rails, and yet it's a
no
lovely,
teetering at all.
immediate way of experiencing the Norfolk countryside in a way that I've never done before.
Despite Norfolk's flat-as-a-pancake image, this short route faces several challenging gradients. Not only that, in the height of summer, it carries 100 passengers a time. To pack a punch, this design of locomotive, built in the 1980s, features 1 boiler serving 2 engines. It's a technical marvel that's made narrow gauge the system of choice in challenging situations such as mining, and it's also a rather evocative way to travel.
It's a very distinctive, and for me, a very intoxicating smell of coal and steam and water.
Absolutely.
And of energy. I mean, when you think back to the origins of steam, such an exciting time in global history, but it all happened in Britain.
It's heartening to think that a stretch of line that was abandoned in the 60s by those now infamous Beeching cuts is still very much alive and kicking.
I love it. The sights and sounds and smells and history of yesteryear. I think when my son grows up, he'll enjoy this. I'll bring him back.
Do.
So, Nick, is this the end of the line?
Yes, Jules, we're now arriving in Walsingham, and as such, I think it's fitting, and we've talked about the song today. I have a little gift for you. This piece of track was on the song, so please take it away and think of us every time you weight down some paperweight.
I absolutely will, Nick. Thank you very, very much indeed. Well, you know, ordinarily I'm a pretty optimistic kind of bloke. It's a useful trait to have when you're involved in the business of house hunting, but I suspect this week even my optimism is going to be tested. Have we managed to find Alan and Paula a home for the future? I wonder. Well, I thought I might find you down here. You gave us the challenge of trying to find you a new home, hopefully somewhere near the coast. We haven't done bad, I think, on balance in terms of locations. What kind of conclusions have you reached? Have we managed to find you an option that you think you can make home for the future?
I think we need to sit down as a couple and discuss our parameters once again. It's the fact that there are certain things which we don't realise that we do want and what we don't want. And that's exactly where we lie at the moment.
So your wish list may have changed over the last few days.
I think what it has shown me is that I can't necessarily get the land that I want that close to the coast.
You are both embarking on a new chapter in your lives, and you are both, I suspect, still learning about each other.
Yeah. The difference between Al and I is I think Al is quite capable of falling in love with any house he sees, whereas I'm a bit more tunnel vision of what I think I want.
So are you less likely to compromise compared to Al?
Yeah, I think that's probably quite spot on, actually.
There we are, mate. Look, we found out something new this week. Or maybe you already knew.
No, I think we've got to meet halfway, and that's where we make a house, as we've seen, into a home.
So your search goes on, but it does sound like, at the very least, we've helped to clarify what it is you're looking for. Good luck.
Thanks, Jules.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, when we start planning our house searches, we're never entirely sure where we're going to end up. But as it's turned out this week, Cromer and its wonderful pier behind me have featured pretty heavily in 2 out of 3 of our properties, as indeed of the wonderful beaches that stretch out either side of this famous seaside town. Now, the pier itself was built back in 1901. It stretches some 500 feet out into the North Sea. Far enough, you might think, but I suspect not quite as far as the journey that Paula and Alan have still got to take. I'll see you next time.
If you'd like to escape to the country in England, Northern Ireland, Wales or Scotland and need our help, you can apply online at bbc.co.uk/Be On A Show.